Hi ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to Genshin Impact. We have EULA, and today we're going to be breaking down the nitty-gritty things within EULA. A lot of which are things I wasn't expecting at all. Essentially, one of the things I want to talk about in this video, and we're going to make another one later down the line when I finally have full access to what essentially everyone else is kind of showing off. And I really want to stress that EULA is viable, but she's viable in different ways via different stages of your progression, i.e. your artifacts and your weapons. So let's talk about that right now. Ladies and gentlemen, first of all, this is EULA, absolutely fantastic. She's also a physical damage burst character. Now, if you want to make her not a burst character, you're going to need pretty insane artifacts. I'm talking insane. But it's possible, albeit almost you're gonna need the best kind of artifacts in order to get her to be in a place where you need. Now my EULA right now is rocking these stats. She has around 64 crit rate, pretty decent, but she's also using a crit rate main goblet, which is why my crit damage isn't that great. We got a decent amount of energy recharge, able to get to her ult, which actually works out really nicely, and then we have physical damage is around 100. Now, with that being said, that can go a little higher because I haven't fully leveled up her weapon, but her weapon's at 70. That's enough to play around and kind of understand things. Also, she's getting various attack speed buffs and stuff from this. We're going to be going over weapons that we can use for her later in another video, but this video is kind of like for the people who are kind of lost, and I could totally feel that. This character is very weird in the sense that two skills or two attributes are of incredible value based on what you want to take her. Now, ideally, EULA would, in my opinion, this is the way that I wish I could have built her. I would have loved to have EULA basically have a crazy amount of crit damage and a decent amount of crit rate. That way, you're seeing those 10,000 damage procs, 10k damage procs on enemies, which makes her amazing just as a person that you can swing your blade around and kill things. Now, it turns out this also can translate pretty well into the other builds, the poor man's EULA build, which gives you good burst damage. But yeah, essentially that'd be the way that I would like to do it. But in order to do that, you need to have an abundance of crit rate on each and every single mod, or at least an insane amount on one. And then you need to probably have a crit rate goblet, which is nutty. Just to get all of your substats in that rate of alignment is insane. For those guys who are like, Grin, you must have bad stats. I think I have okay stats. They're not great, but they're okay. 7 crit right there, as well as a boatload of elemental mastery, as well as energy recharge, and of course a little bit of HP, which was annoying. But we also got pretty decent amount of crit rate, crit damage, and of course attack percent. Pretty good. We also got this one, which is actually probably the weakest one that I have, but still we got 10 crit rate right there. We also have this, which is physical damage. Also, it is elemental mastery and a shit ton of recharge and a decent amount of attack percent. Neat. And we got this one, which is also not that great, but it's got a good amount of elemental recharge and attack percent and all that kind of stuff. A lot of it did go, unfortunately, into defense. This is the one that I could change, but it's also the one that I kind of can't change, because even with all of the subsequent buffs to my crit rate, these two are the things that are holding me back. My crown and my goblet, they're the only thing that I don't have enough crit rate for. If I had crit rate in every single attribute, or at least one artifact that just had went all into crit rate, then maybe you could use a crit damage headpiece and then be able to get to being able to crit to get 10,000 damage. But normally you're not able to do that. Now, does that mean EULA is trash? She needs so many cracked artifacts in order to be good? No. If you have EULA, you want to get enough crit rate. That's basically it. You want to get enough crit rate, and you want to also get enough elemental recharge. Now, this is the poor man's way that you kind of have to play EULA, which feels, well, it feels like you playing like a melt character, like a character where you basically are waiting, and then boom, you do a shit ton of damage. And this is kind of the way I'm unfortunately having to play EULA right now, which is not what I would rather play. I'd rather play the ability just to swing around, murder shit with your base melee attack, and clean up shop. Which also can facilitate into making your ult really strong. But this way, your ult hits hard enough to where it can kill damn near most enemies flat. The one thing that EULA is weak in, though, I'll be honest, is enemies are far away. They're spread out oftentimes in this game. So you'll be doing this stupid, huge burst, and now you have an ult that needs a shit ton of energy to recharge. And it's on a pretty hefty cooldown. But it's like a 20-second cooldown or something like that, so you can get back to it pretty easily within that rotation. But nevertheless, it's one of the problems with the character is that, yeah, you can deal a stupid burst damage, but the same thing as a vaporize comp. What happens when your abilities are on cooldown and you can't apply the dots anymore? You're kind of shit out of luck, or you gotta wait. Or yeah, and EULA kind of has this in a bigger degree because it's her ult that's queuing up things, and not just like applying an element and then applying another element, i.e. vaporize, and to get you to that end. The only thing that EULA definitely has in the bag is apparently in 1.6 we're going to get a massive buff to the alternative reactions. So Melt and Vaporize are what's broken right now. Apparently Overload, Superconduct, Electro, Shatter, Swirl, all those things are going to be getting buffed in the future later down the line, which in 1.6. So hopefully EULA is one of those characters where people are like, yeah, she's good, but when that buff comes out, she becomes pretty damn great. Although you're not going to want Elemental Mastery for EULA, so to say that that's going to set her free is probably not entirely true, but there are other characters that can give you a shit ton of elemental mastery, so that can kind of still work for EULA. Now, the way things scale and work out, basically, this has you needing everything from your artifacts. Like, sometimes you can get away with, okay, well, I don't have that much crit rate, so I can use a crit rate, a crown, basically, and just get okay with that. Yes and no, it depends. If you have like a stupid cracked artifact that has like all of the crit damage on it, then yeah, you can kind of start touching 140 is what I've been seeing. But my guys, I'm telling you, that is not something that is just gonna fall in your lap. That's something that you gotta work for, and that's what kind of frustrates me when I'm seeing all these EULA videos. I'm like, that's not the gameplay that most people are gonna be playing at all. And I think that's why you're seeing a super big deviation of content creators that are able to wail out, and normal people who are just like, wait, she feels completely weird, like in an odd way, and I think that's why. But for people who are saying she feels weird, she only feels weird because you're not utilizing the main kind of way she deals damage, which is you're using her ult. The predominant amount of your damage is going to be from your ult. Not only that, but if you can have as much physical damage as you possibly can, great. We'll make a video in the future going over her weapons and actually using them and seeing what the hell is going to happen. Now, let's get into how she works and why this artifact set works with her, although I'm pretty sure you know. Essentially, how this character works in general is building stacks. Now, yes, she has physical damage, but building stacks is kind of how she does that. So, every single time you use her press for her E, she accrues 1 Grimheart stack. You can accrue up to 2. Now, the reason why you always want to cap out 2 Grimheart stacks is not only because if you're running Pale Flame, you're getting your massive physical damage bonus, you're always going to want to hit it twice. So the reason why you also want Grimheart stacks is because when you use her hold ability, it's going to shred their physical resistance and cryo resistance, which is both of the damages that you're dealing. But I will stress, because there's some other things here, that the reason why you want to do that is to activate your Pale Flame if you have it. Now if you don't, it's still worth having it, or still doing this tedious kind of thing, because of this. When you have 2 stacks of Grimheart and you spend it, you are going to basically get 50% of whatever damage you're going to deal as physical damage, which is the way you're going to be building EULA anyway. So this is going to take your E from hitting like nothing to hitting like something. So yeah, that's just going to actually make your E melt things to some extent. Again, we're not whales, so we're just kind of making things work. I digress. But one of the things that's constantly being thrown around right now is EULA's synergy within her abilities and kind of hitting them at the right times. So essentially, it's pretty simple. You want to have max Grimheart stacks before you activate your ult. When you enter in combat, you want to hit E twice. The reason why is because it activates your physical damage buff. So hit E twice, and then use your hold E. So you have to hit 3 times in total. So hit, hold. And then you're going to smack down a bunch of things, and you're going to be good. And then you're going to use her ult because it resets your E. Now, the reason why you want to do it in that sequence is because when you use your hold charge, it's on a 12-sec cooldown. And if we look at our artifacts, we have to hit someone with our E every 7 seconds. So in order to keep that upkeep going, we're going to need to get our E back so that we can keep hitting people and keep gaining stacks that way. Now, I'll be honest, as much as EULA is very odd to play, very few things besides bosses that have an abnormal amount of health survive this long at all, if you have some decent weapons. And yeah, that's essentially how she works. So again, just to stress, in actual practice, you're going to hit E, gain a stack. You're going to start twirling around, you're going to keep button mashing the thing, you hit E, now you have max stacks. Now, you are going to hold E, boom, and you're going to activate your charge, and now you're just going to try to do as much damage as you possibly can, hit your E. I messed up there, sorry. Okay, forgot telling you guys the after part. So when you activate your ult, you're going to want to hit E once, because when you activate your alt, not only does it reset your E, so when you use your charge E, you're not having to wait 9 seconds. Sorry, I said it was 12, it's 9, which again would make Pale Flame's buff disappear. Not only does it give you your E back so that you can just spam it and it's on a 3-second cooldown where you keep that upkeep, but you also gain 1 Grimheart stack. So I messed up sequencing there, so you want to melee, build stacks, 1 more melee, boom, and again, all the while you're meleeing. Again, most things die, and this is why where the character kind of falls apart in a way. Anyway, so now you're gonna use your whole charge, and now you're gonna activate your alt if you had it. And if you didn't have your alt, I would suggest just keep hitting your E just to generate particles. But you're gonna activate your alt. Boom, I activate my alt. And then I'm just gonna hit E once, and then I have max Grimheart stacks. So at this point, you can do whatever you want. You can use all of them. Again, very rarely do things survive this long within the cycle. But, ladies and gentlemen, that is essentially how you function and fire things with EULA. I think, yeah, I'm going to make a video probably after this one talking about like thoughts on EULA, because I kind of got emotions that I feel like, even like doing this video where I'm trying to be as helpful as possible, I want to bring up like the issues, like the problems where I'm like, wait, wait, okay. But I digress. Now, there is another build for EULA, but it's incredibly high in terms of investment. You need to have critical damage and crit rate built in, a hefty amount, into your artifacts. All of them. For those guys who are like, GRINN, it's not that bad. My artifacts aren't that bad. My artifact right here, we got crit. I'll just let you guys look at them. Boom, boom, boom. We got crit damage right there. Or, sorry, yeah, crit damage, energy recharge, all that stuff. That's not bad at all, right? This, I think it's okay. Actually, this was the one that I think I could replace because it's okay, but it's still got 10 crit right there. Anyways, I got physical damage goblet. This one has a ton of recharge and attack percent. It's all in all not the worst, but if I could get a physical, a goblet with the best stats ever, kill me. Anyways, then we got the crit rate. Again, this is where, like, if I could just get a critical damage headpiece with critical rate built into it, that might be able to take care of me, but I don't know, man. You need a bit, like a good bit, which is the frustrating aspect of it, and that's why we're gonna go showcase some damage right now. But it's like I'm dealing like 4,000 damage on the low end, and that's, I don't want to compare shit, but it's kind of like it's very on the par as Razor, like it's virtually identical to Razor and such. So, and I will say, again, EULA feels a little weird to play. Again, it's great, but a part of me is like, I really was hoping that she would hit harder, and I think it's just because I don't have the abundance of crit rate and crit damage. That's where this character you think it'd be physical damage shit, but it's not. It's instead, I think, crit damage and crit rate, which is typically most DPS's, but God in heaven, that's a hard stat to find. A lot of, and I've been grinding the new domain forever, so yeah. Also, if you're wondering what my stats are for EULA, I was actually able to gear her up pretty quick. I got her at 8 and 8 and 7, and I could get that if I wanted to, but I don't want to do it just yet because I want to wait and see which ones are better to invest in. Her alt is probably the one that you should go for, following up by her E and then her main attack. But with that being said, though, it depends on what you want from her. Do you want her to be like a main damage carry kind of thing? Then you want her basic attack to be the best. But I won't lie and say that this is not where like a huge percentage of her attack comes from. It's just that, like, again, unlike other builds where you could just use her basic melee and kill things, if you're doing the like kind of free to play, don't have an abundance of resin to spend on the most cracked artifacts you've ever seen, then you could cycle and just use this, which is big into basically using her alt to smash and destroy shit. So this is her in just one-to-one combat with a assassin, which is not the easiest enemy to tear down, but it's still not the craziest as well. We're going to do this to activate Superconduct. We're also going to be able to see him that way. So we're doing 8,000 right now. That's also because Zhongli's giving us some damage buffs, but normally on like the high end I deal like 8,000, on the low end I deal like, what is it? It's, and this is the funny thing with EULA, by the way, just to interrupt myself. By the time you get to your second stack, most things have died, which is very weird. Like, I feel like a lot of people, there's going to be two people in two camps. There's going to be people who are like, EULA's cracked, and there's people who are going to be like, EULA feels really slow and clunky. But the reason why people say she feels slow and clunky is because the way it's like death by 1,000 cuts in a really weird way. Where like that alt RE comes back in 3 seconds. That's super fast. But if you, but because we're attacking so much, we're consistently dealing damage and consistently smacking down enemies. We end up killing things faster than we can kind of perceive it to be. But by the time you're done charging up your shit, most enemies are dead. Even if you're only dealing 4,000 damage. And by the way, what I was trying to say there was on a normal day without any buffs, I'm dealing like 4,000 damage, and then I can scale that up to be better with Zhongli and other things coming into that effect. Also, one thing that's kind of amazing, especially for her, and like if you're seeing these kind of absurdly big numbers on attacks, like an abundance of damage, a lot of it's coming from things like Noblest Oblige artifact set, when you activate your ult, all damage is being amplified, Zhongli's new pillar thing, which gives you a ton of attack, and of course this weapon that gives you 20% more attack when you eventually have 4 stacks, which by the way, EULA doesn't attack as fast as you're seeing. Whenever I attack things, like this is her actual attack speed, right here, which is slow-ish. But if you have max stacks for this special legendary weapon, you actually gain a 12% attack speed. So when I get 4 hits, you'll see that my attack kind of jumps. But this is her without anything. We're dealing like 5,000 to 3,000 damage on the low end with an occasional 7,000 proc. But again, if I activate this and I activate Superconduct, which is pretty easy to do this, we're going to be hitting for 8,000 on the low end and around 10,000 on the high end. Give or take, it kind of depends. But again, it's kind of a pain in the ass to kind of get things cooking. So right here is where I could do this, and then we get double stack. So now I'm going to fire this away. Boom. Or whatever. He did get hit by that. Okay, well, we can't really showcase. See, this is what EULA'S problem is. We just hit for 68,000. Most enemies in the game aren't cooking with 68,000, and if it is, are things on a... Oh, I lied, by the way. It's not on a 20-second cooldown. Sorry, forgive me. Her ult is on a cooldown of... Oh, it is on 20 seconds. Okay, but I think it starts cooling down the minute you actually fire. So it's like 20 seconds negated by 7, because that's your kind of window of opportunity and all that stuff. Okay, yeah, and I just have her on a good amount of energy recharge, so we're already halfway through, which is why, again, like a poor man's EULA'S build that can her be incredibly efficient is energy recharge with as much crit rate as you possibly can, so her burst ult can hit really hard. And that's, I think, what the devs were trying to communicate to us to some extent, was that EULA is a burst character without like any help. She can be an insane consistent DPS, but otherwise all of her damage, like her insane numbers, are coming from her ult, which is kind of has a cooldown to it. But with that being said, though, like I've never encountered something where I'm not able to destroy it. It does take some sort of over here, just because I think that's something that we can do. Also, it's cryo, it's melt. It'll be like a decent showcase. Actually, I'll be honest, it'll be a little bit favoring us because we're being able to do melt. But with that being said, though, we're not built for cryo, so it shouldn't do much for us. We're built entirely for physical damage, so yeah. So by the way, if you do not have Zhongli and you have a lot of constellations for Xingyan, she can absolutely replace him. In fact, in some cases, she might actually be better. Like a lot better. In fact, well, we might, yeah, let's do that. Let's switch out Zhongli for Xingyan after we take down this boss, just because. But yeah, Zhongli's also giving her a ton of attack speed buff, or attack bonus, because of the way I have him built, and also his shield is like unpenetrable, so there's a lot of things afoot. Do this. Keep building our stacks. If I just want one more stack, and that should give me my ult. Do this. Do a hold. Do a bunch of attacks. And he's not able to... Yeah. Give it a minute. Boom! It's massive! See, that's the thing. EULA is like this mixed bag, because I feel like a lot of people may get her, play her, and feel like, she's not like hitting like my main DPS. But it's because she's like, again, I'm annoyed, but she's very much built to be like this burst character. Like, if you want to see stupid high numbers, you can. But if you have her even remotely built, the journey to get there is, like, it makes the payoff useless because you killed everything. Some other things. Let's go do a cryo boss. Yeah, that's like a good example, because that's her at her weakest, kind of. But with the addition of EULA being, of course, physical damage based, this is going to expertly, in my opinion, show how good EULA is across the board when it comes to that. Also, we're going to take off Zhongli, because Zhongli's just making everything die too quick. because of multiple aspects of what I haven't Zhongli built to be like the best friend of everybody, period. So Zhongli is going to get replaced with Xinyan, who actually is not greatly built. I want to try building her in a different way, but she basically, I have a lot of consolations for her, so she's going to be pretty good and kind of, maybe not near Zhongli, but able to kind of buff specifically EULA'S attributes. I have this pretty leveled up. I also have consolation, which gives you this, which gives her a 100% crit rate. This can kind of just be nice, but probably won't use her ult that much. Actually, we will, because we want to get the max tier of her thing. Anyways, we also have this, right here. Sorry. Whenever we melee somebody with our E, we're basically going to accrue 15 elemental resistance for that enemy. Not only that, but one of her passive talents is this. Whenever a character is shielded, they gain 15% increase physical damage bonus. Not only that, but of course we have Fischl here, who is, by the way, Fischl is absolutely trash. She's not very good at all. She's level 70. Her damage and all of her abilities are absolute trash. I just have her as basically a super conduct spawn. Even though I would love to have the character, I still don't have any consolations for her, and she's nice with consolations, but she's not necessary. Also, I don't have any other support electro character, which hopefully they can introduce later down the line. But without further ado, let's do this. Also, I have Xinqiu there just for freeze comp. Also, Xinqiu is just amazing additive damage, so it'd be pretty huge. We're gonna do one of these. Where's your little thing? We're gonna do one of this. Give it a minute. This. Stop it. This. So yeah, she's doing 3,000 damage right now. It's not the greatest 6,000, but give it a minute. As soon as we have our ult, we'll be able to hit with a crazy amount of damage, probably even cutting through a lot of things. So now we're gonna do one of these. I was gonna do this. Give it a minute. Okay, so that did hit. I didn't see where it hit at all. I completely missed what took place. God damn it. Hopefully we get the person's special eye thing. This, and this. So we're doing like 6,000 damage on a high crit with this, which is pretty nice. Again, that was without Zhongli. I think if I had Zhongli there, I'm getting a lot out of Zhongli in terms of damage. Let's keep killing things. So I've shown you guys him smash some bosses. Where do you want to go? We can go Spiral. Let's go do floor 9 of Spiral Abyss. That's a pretty interesting kind of barrier of entry, just to show you guys. Yeah, Zhongli with all of his buffs beats out Xinyan. Well, with that being said though, if you were to equip Xinyan with an ult like a Nobles Oblige, which increases when she ults, it increases everyone else's base damage. That could be huge. But it's always nice to have some damage ahead. Also, I'll check if this is the physical damage room. If it is, then we'll go to another one. Shit, I forgot. Yeah, there's people who are saying that like don't look at footage of a specific Spiral Abyss room and her popping off is absolute shit. Don't look at that. It's fucking annoying. Because like that's gonna go away immediately. That's not helpful at all. Cool, she can complete one room. Like what? Anyways, we're doing one of these. We're gonna do one of these. I can always mess up the order of that shit. By the way, probably should first introduce this with hitting a stack. So by the way, we have max stack, so we can unleash a physical damage hit like this. Boom! I can't see what it did because there's so many damage hitters with that one. Do this, do this, do this, and do this. Get a bonus attack speed buff. Or not attack speed, which just hit really hard. They're hitting that thing! No! I hate shields so much, but as soon as we cut through that shield, everything is just getting smashed. 8,000 on a quick succession hit. Do one of these. I didn't charge it all the way. Ah! Okay, so that's one of the things that you really got to be careful to, is to charge 2 hits of your E. Because if you don't, then it just goes to shit really fast. If you have max consolation, then you can kind of, honestly, you can do anything you want, really. Honestly, with that, it's hard to, with more consolation, she gets harder and harder to fuck up. Yeah, so we got through that side pretty easily. That was some enemies. Again, 8,000, 7,000, pretty easy to chunk through those people. I will say, though, I am just so used to playing Shao that everything just gets eviscerated, period. Yeah, so there's positives to everything, I suppose. So by the way, one thing I kind of tried to mention it there in the heat of combat, but how do you keep tracks of her Grimheart stacks? How do you keep track of her Grim Heart stacks? Essentially, it's you have this thing that appears above your head. You can, if you're not sure about what stack she's on, you can switch to another character and switch back. The other thing, the other cue, is her cape will start to glow when you have max Grim Heart stacks, and she'll kind of have this cryo glow to her as well. So we can hit right there. We have a little sword basically on her head. And if we switch away and switch back, it's going to tell us that we have 1 stack. We're going to hit that again. And now we have 2 stacks. And also you guys can see that her cape is now glowing kind of like Child's, like a cryo version of Child's thing. And by the way, yeah, when we use our hold charge, we deal 8,000 damage. And if we did this, and we did, give it a minute, we're going to do this, increase our attack speed, do this, 8,000, not bad. Boom, 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 7,000. I don't think I activate Superconduct. Yeah, so when we have Superconduct activated, we're able to do 10,000 damage. Now some of y'all might be like, that's massive, Grin. Well, okay, let me just show you something, like, just real quick. On a bad day, Xiao does 4,000 damage, but he also basically never ends his ult. So we do 1,000 damage and 4,000 damage when we crit, see? But we can also do one of these. We just did 17k. What is it? 20k. 20k. If I have my shield on, this would be even more. Boom. We're dealing 8,000 damage constantly. And you guys might be like, but Grin, it's an ult and it's gonna go away. Yeah. 30,000 damage right there. And if I wanted to, I could do one of these and give me a hot minute. By the time I'm done, I have my ult again. And it's ready to be used. EULA cannot say the same. I'm not trying to shit on EULA, I'm just saying that, yeah, she's very much a burst character. Now you guys might be like, well, Grin, you're not being fair because you're not utilizing her ult. Very true. Again, one of EULA'S strength is the fact that she can use her ult, and that can get you very, very far, and that can deal a shit ton of damage. Can we not look at me? Can we please? You're hiding in a tree. I get it. Relax. But I digress. Let's jump up topside here. We're gonna do one of these. And we now have 1 stack, and see, by the, like, we have a couple seconds to actually, like, build more stacks, but then everything's dead. You're kind of just like, I guess I'll just do this. And that did 9,000 that time. Again, if I were able to activate Superconduct, it would do 10,000, it seems. But yeah, it feels like odd is the best way I can ever describe it. Is it just like, you're like, okay, yeah. So by the way, guys, I'm probably splicing like 2 videos together here, because in some videos I did a better job about like showcasing like the boss damage in conjunction with other things, but I think I did a better job of explaining like the way in which you activate abilities is kind of crucial and very, very important. Oh, quick. Oh, also running again, team comp. We're gonna go over in another video just because it's kind of, there's a lot. There's a lot of options, and I don't know what team is the absolute best, because it's one of those things where so many characters like decrease physical resistance, and at one point is their diminishing returns. Also, if I were to put a shield on her, she would get increased physical damage even more so, but not everybody has Zhongli, although maybe people do at this point, because yeah. Also, I have Zhongli built in a very special way, like I mentioned, I think, at this point. But yes, now when that pulses, I'm dealing now 7,000 damage. Not well, again, it's the barometer is 4,000 to 8 to 10 if I have everything going. 10 if I have everything going. And what I mean by that is like Zhongli's buffing me if my pillar ticks and hits somebody. I've kind of explained it. Also Superconduct and all that stuff. And then Xinqiu's just here for healing as well as additive damage and freeze locking people if I need that. Ladies and gentlemen, that is EULA, who is absolutely looks fantastic. And I want to make a video real quick. Just it'll come up probably in a couple days, but it's about me like talking about the initial thoughts of EULA, because man, I like it a lot, but it feels like stuff is weird. And I'll save it for the next, but it feels like constellation stuff. It feels odd. Yeah, anyways, I digress. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for your time. Hopefully you guys do enjoy the rest of your day. You've been nothing shy of absolutely love you. Thank you so much. We're going to be continuing covering Genshin, and I want to make more videos on EULA, of course, her weapons, her best team comp, stuff like that, as well as hopefully within the coming months, because artifact farming is a nightmare, I can get one with a decent amount of crit damage on it to where I can actually start dealing like 10,000 damage, which would be pretty cool. But I digress. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for your time. Hope you guys do enjoy the rest of your day. Subscribe button over there as well as 2 videos further that way. Thank you once again, and goodbye.